I caught my wife in bed with another man, so I divorced her and now she is trying to get me back. When I am at work, I feel angry. I haven't seen my son much this year, and I haven't had summer with him, thanks to this virus which hasn't helped. At the end of September, I learned that my wife of 5 years had been cheating. I have spent my time since then playing detective, unwinding a human spider web that has no clear end. I had this treacherous woman in my house, and I had to pretend that all was well. But what I wanted was to throw her out and burn everything she touched. My lawyer keeps telling me, just hold on. Living in hell. I haven't slept in my own bed in nearly 2 months, and when she finally leaves, I plan to burn it. I have not had sex with her, so she calls me cheating. If she hugs or kisses me, then I have to suck it up, although thinking about it makes my stomach turn. Whenever I look at her, I just see dirt. I want her gone, but the time is not right. Not yet. Not yet. I am in a room with her, and the only thing between us is a table. Then she starts drumming her fingers on the surface, once, twice, 3 times, and my face is boiling, and I want to flip the table and never return. I can't discuss this with anyone now because the answer is always the same. Not yet, not yet. So I'm kind of mad at myself that someone could put me in this situation again. All I want to do is wake up from this nightmare, and most of all, I miss my son. On Sunday, I finally returned, exhausted after a 1,400-mile drive. I was tired and didn't want to see her or talk to her. I slumped in my chair and went to sleep, the most restful sleep in 2 months. During that time, I had lost 15 pounds and looked like a shell of a human being. I got, for once, 8 hours sleep in one go. The next morning, my wife initiated intimacy. I could not bear it. I just could not. My body wouldn't respond to her touch. The thing is, my Johnson always rises before I do in the mornings, so that wasn't a physical problem. This time, my body matched, my heart matched, my mind matched. She was crying and then erupted into screams. I told her maybe there's something wrong with me. I'm 50, and sometimes these types of things happen. At once, she accused me of cheating. I was not being a good husband, she said. I hadn't had sex with her in more than 2 months. I hadn't told her I loved her in 2 months, so obviously I am doing something behind her back. That's when she tried to gaslight me. The truth, I was doing something behind her back. I was gathering all the bits and pieces of her lies and deceit. D-Day, September the 25th. I work on totaled cars doing collision repair. That was the day I cut my leg open working on a truck. I was rushed to the emergency room and got 5 stitches in the inside of my leg and 34 on the outside. I was in severe pain and placed on a heavy narcotic pain regimen. There was no way I could drive, so I called my wife. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. I waited 5 minutes, called back, silence. I texted her, "Babe, come, I need you." Still nothing. I called again. More text, no response. I waited an hour and a half and finally left and took an Uber home. But the very moment we rounded the corner onto my street, the world tipped on its head. There she stood in our doorway, locked in steamy kisses with the general manager of her workplace. This wasn't a quick peck. They were frozen together in a tight, intimate embrace. I asked the driver to stop, took out my phone, snapped a few photos. I told the driver to go on. Instead of going home, I had him take me back to work. For 4 hours, I sat in the break room, head down, numbed, heartbroken. When the painkillers wore off, I drove home, heartbroken and in pain. By the time I arrived, she wasn't there. She came in hours later pretending to act all worried. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. I didn't care anymore. I asked her how her day was going, and she lied. A week later, I learned she had not worked a Friday in 3 years. It was then I hit the internet to search for answers. I very rarely ever posted on Reddit, but stumbled across posts which could have been describing my situation when looking for help with infidelity. Every red flag was there. Always on her phone, always texting, too busy to take my calls. It wasn't until 2 months later that she even learned that I had been desperately calling out to her from the emergency room that day. She never once opened our chat log. Instead, she had the audacity to scream at me for not being a good enough husband. That's when I snapped. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through our chat history, and shoved it in her face. I seldom raised my voice, but I did this time. I needed you that day, and you ignored me. She glanced at her phone, swiped through the messages, and left the house for the day. When she returned, she'd made some half-hearted apology, then more lies. I had already searched her phone, laptop, and iPad by then. I had a copy of all her data from one of her old devices. Did you go camera-free on the house since then? And back then, did you put cameras in the house? The next day, I followed up with divorce papers. I waited until she went off to work, rented a truck, and changed the locks. Thank God for a friend and her husband who helped me pack up all her things. All the furniture that she had stained, gone. The bedroom set I bought as a wedding gift, poof. Her clothes stuffed into garbage bags. Then I went to her job. I entered bearing flowers and chocolates. I hugged her, kissed her. I played the role of the devoted husband. Her colleagues gushed how sweet I was. Tell her I planned a special evening for her. In the afternoon at 2 p.m., a deputy went to her place of work and served her the divorce papers. I am outside her boss's house. I knocked. His wife answered. I told her the truth. She didn't believe me until I showed her the photos. Photos of my wife with her husband. The selfies they took on my couch. She broke down, crying. I gave her a thumb drive with all the evidence and told her she needs to get tested for STDs. I also gave her my lawyer's contact info. About the time I turned to walk away, his wife's phone starts blowing up. She got home at 7 p.m. and heard about the locks. She knocked on the door, screamed, and called me nonstop. I ignored everything. Then she broke a window. When she came to get her things later, I had deputies out front. She attempted the I love you routine. Then when I refused to relent, enlisted invective and fury, she finally lost it. She hit me, scratched me, gave me a busted lip and bloody nose. I didn't retaliate. I just stood there while the officers detained her. Now the divorce proceeds. It will be finalized 2 months from now. I didn't get everything I wanted, but I got enough. I feel relief, but more than that, I feel sadness. She wouldn't even make eye contact with me through the whole thing. She lied to the end, and now I can finally put this behind me. I leafed through what she had written, and why would the two unknown men be mentioned? My lawyer displayed still images from the surveillance video. Who is this? And this? She's not exactly candid with them either. The lawyers asked us to leave, and we left. I couldn't make out every word, but I could tell he was not happy. When we returned, things were explained to me more frankly. The two men were recent online flings. As for the long-term affair, which has spanned nearly our entire relationship, she told me she ripped a Band-Aid off and ended things with him shortly after my proposal, but they resumed their affair about a year into our marriage. I asked whether she had been faithful at any point in our marriage. She had confessed about how she'd slept with FP, who is married to Amber and my work colleague, on July 4th, 2019. That same day, she slept with him in my house with me home at our 4th of July barbecue. She insisted she didn't love him. She just got a thrill out of it. Her indiscretions got bolder over time, arranging meetups with strangers she met on dating apps. I bet she had parking lot rendezvous as well, but I didn't ask. I asked the lawyers to step outside because I wanted to speak to her personally. We were by ourselves. I didn't say to her that I wanted to know why she had cheated. I already knew why. Anyway, I should have asked, why did you marry me? Why didn't she just say no? She said she loved me. What a nice way to show. She wanted to be married. She craved security. She was in love with me. She liked sex with me. But mostly, she'd been in love with FP for a decade. He was never going to leave his wife behind. and her biological clock was ticking. Anyway, I was her second choice. She said I made her happy, but she went after what she really wanted. And for those wondering, FP and Amber both got fired. Amber at the job was a bit of a circus. My soon-to-be ex-wife has moved back in with her mom and dad. The point about FP and his wife, I was instructed to not worry. The word is, he's trying to save his marriage. If he does, well, I might have to contend with him. I asked if there was anything else I needed to know. Her reluctance turned to revealing that she had an abortion about 2 years ago. She did not know who the father was. That was a devastating blow. In the initial stages of our relationship, we tried to get pregnant, but we let that go and just loved each other. I would have preferred another child, a girl to spoil in particular. Given how often we were unprotected, the kid was probably mine. Now I would never know. That alone made me stand up and exit. They'll say I dodged a bullet, but all I think about is that she took my child's life. If you've ever spent time in a boxing ring, you know that there is a moment where the punches just keep coming. They're hurtful, yes, but not as hurtful as they were those first few times. Too dense, you grow numb. That's where I am now. She could tell me she started the Great Chicago Fire and I wouldn't blink. I called their attorneys back in and instructed them to proceed with Plan B, to give up on my request for alimony in return for an uncontested divorce. I just wanted this to be over and fast. At 5:43 p.m., she signed. That process will take 2 months to complete. I keep my house, my retirement funds, all my assets. Neither of us pays alimony. She gets $73,000 from our savings and not to contact me again. And with that, we are done. I don't care what she does in her life. I don't want to know what she does next. For her sake and for the sake of everyone she meets, I hope she seeks therapy. But I no longer care. I don't feel relief. It's the culinary version of getting ensconced in a terrible, bitter meal that won't go down. I haven't had anything to be overjoyed about in 3 months. Today is no exception. I do not see joy ahead for me either, but I have been thinking of that abortion since she told me. I have a feeling it's going to hang over me for years. I started therapy in July. This latest betrayal has factored into my healing, but it's deeper than that. I'm also wondering if I should reconcile with my sister. She's all I have left. But after such long period of no contact, I wonder if I have the nerve to reach out to her. I want my son to have real blood relatives, not just my friends he calls uncle or aunt. I want my son to have real blood relatives, not just my friends he calls uncle or aunt. My initial introduction to infidelity was what I plugged into that outlet, and I want to remove that plastic cover that trips my circuit. I'll speak if my sister wants to speak, because maybe my cousin can fill in the gaps there too. I have long advised people to walk away from anyone who doesn't support them, but it's almost 30 years now. My parents are gone, my brother is gone, now there is only my sister. My therapist supports this. There, I simply need to be brave enough to call. I don't want to hold this resentment forever. Maybe, if I can regain some of those lost things, I can at least let go. You noticed in this story, I didn't comment much. I know some people would have wanted OP to fight for the assets, but in some cases, some people just want out. They don't give a damn about all the assets.